Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Cyber's webinar, how you can benefit from MarkMagic digital documents. My name is Phil Andrianos. I'm the marketing director here at Cybra. We're trying something a little bit different these days with our webinars. We're trying to make them short. So I see people rolling in right now, but we're going to get started right away. So we keep it to a tight 20 minutes and then questions after that. So just to get started, a couple quick housekeeping notes. One, obviously you guys are all muted. I'm sure you guys all already knew that, but if you guys want to get in touch with us, of course, you can still do that by shooting us questions and using the chat in the GoToWebinar console that you all have on, should be on the right side of your screen. So be sure to send us lots of questions as they come up. We'll try to answer them as you guys send them over, but we might save it to the end. And if there's no time, we'll definitely follow up with you guys after the webinar. And the second thing we want to let you know, of course, this is getting recorded. We get that question a lot, and don't worry, we're recording this webinar in case you got to scoot or if you want to watch it again or share it with any of your colleagues. So with that in mind, I'm going to pass it over to our presenters for today. We got Chuck Roscoe, VP of Operations, and Ken Hunter, Senior Tech Support. So if you guys are ready, I'll pass it over to you to start the webinar.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Phil. This is Chuck Roscoe, as Phil just mentioned, VP of Operations here at Cybra. So some great news for you folks, and that is I only have 2 slides. So this is my first of 2 slides, just talking about the agenda real quick. Let's have one after this, and then I'm going to be moving this over to Ken Hunter, who's going to be showing you a live demo or live use case of some of the functionality that we're that brought you here, this digital documents. So for the agenda, how to combine outside labels with your form. So Chuck, what do you mean by that? So we're saying outside labels, it could be really anything outside of a normal MarkMagic format. So the example that Ken's going to be showing is perhaps you're printing labels, you're shipping through like FedEx from their website or UPS, and they email you, or you can download the actual labels that were created. So they create those for you. So the shipping labels in a PDF document, and you want to merge them or blend them with your packing slip or with your invoice and create like a collate. So how can that be done with MarkMagic? That's a big chunk of what you're about to see here. Part of that functionality deals with variable graphics or variable images. So we'll talk a little bit about that. That's something that's been around for a really long time. Ken's also going to be using one of our newer features for SQL lookup. So he's going to look up data from a totally different database for the tracking number to bring all this stuff together. And then as the final, where are these PDFs or where's this output going? How to use rules within Print Transformer to redirect automatically, dynamically, where these PDF documents are sent. They could even be printed, obviously, using any of our drivers. And just, to kind of level set folks, so MarkMagic has been around for 28 years or so on the AS400, now known as the IBM I. That happens to be the platform Ken's going to be showing you MarkMagic on. We also have MarkMagic PI, PI standing for Platform Independent. That's written 100% in Java. That can run on Linux, AIX, and so on any platform you want. So both of those flavors are available. So for any operating system up in the cloud and all that good stuff. And the PDF part of MarkMagic has been around for a super long time. So just generally speaking, anything in MarkMagic that you normally print, it could be a zebra label, a monarch label, Avery Dennison, it could be a laser form. Along with printing it, and we have all those print drivers, obviously natively designed, created in MarkMagic, to go to those different printers, use those printer languages. You can optionally, with one of our options, say, you know what, MarkMagic, maybe go ahead and print it, or you know what, don't print it, just create it as a PDF. So we can, that's all built in, and you already have that installed on your system. So it's just an option within the product where you can tell us to create that output as a PDF, an Adobe PDF, completely searchable. It's not like a big image or anything like that. That can then, and we can then obviously email it and send it to a file and all that. So I'm going to send this over to Ken. Another thing just to keep in mind is everything Ken is doing, there's zero programming involved. So he's going to go through this use case where a situation you may be in right now, and by all means, please use your imagination. We just picked a couple forms, and it doesn't even have to be a label. It could be other things that are moving in and out of this format. And he puts it right into production. So I'll make him the presenter. And one of the things I was thinking about earlier today is, I don't know if anyone saw the movie. It's called Paycheck, by the way, Brian, Phil, and Ken, with Ben Affleck. So and I actually looked it up. It's 2003, so I'm really dating myself. And it's a movie where Ben Affleck, where they drug him and they have him he's super smart, and he reverse engineers like these complex like machines and stuff like that, and he gets paid all this money. Anyway, what Ken's about to show is kind of like that. He's going to reverse engineer. He's going to show you the dessert first, show you the output, and then different layers. And then he's going to dig deeper and deeper and deeper into how he created all this, again, without any programming at all, no development, and how we set it live. So we'll start off at the very top level and we'll start digging deeper. Ken, I'll stop talking and give it over to you.
All right, thanks. So here is the final version of the PDF. So this is the output from MarkMagic. It's 2 pages. This is a 2-page. This was generated from a 2-page spool file. So it's a plain text spool file with 2 pages in it, was sent to MarkMagic, and this came out. So this is the 2nd page, and I mean, you can see drastic differences there at the bottom. Obviously, there's a label popping out of nowhere. And then also some little bit of customization here with the totals section popping in place. So I'll go back to the first page so you can compare. There's a message here saying the shipping label will be printed on the last page. And then here's the last page, and then the shipping label shows up. So first of all, that shipping label, going back a little bit to talk about how you could design this label directly on the form. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from using JMagic and MarkMagic to put this barcode here, design this line here, put this FedEx logo here. You could definitely do that, but that's not the scope of this webinar. We're actually taking this label that you see at the bottom from a different PDF. So Chuck mentioned, so there's another PDF that you might get directly from FedEx. It may even have multiple pages in it, and you're not even concerned about the other pages. Maybe you just want this label from FedEx. This isn't created by MarkMagic, mind you. This is directly from FedEx. You want to just strip out this label as an image and bring it on to the MarkMagic form. And place it somewhere on a blank area of your MarkMagic pack list or what have you, some document that you want to print out or email. So I'll show you, first of all, how you can very easily take those PDFs. Maybe you get a whole handful of them. Maybe you need to ship out 20 things a day and you get 20 PDFs from FedEx. So I've got one here, but you can think of it as taking all of these files, and I've got it set up in a way where MarkMagic's actually looking at a folder on the server's IFS folder system, looking for PDFs. So you can just drop them in. You can have a person just copy paste them in like that. It could be automatically created by some other outside program. So they get dropped in, and MarkMagic's actually looking at this folder, and you can see it disappeared. So that means it finished. That PDF was processed by MarkMagic and was turned into an image using the MarkMagic print monitor. So we've had the print monitor for a while. Many of you use it for printing, which I'll show you in a little bit, but a new feature in version 10 is actually using the print monitor to convert that image. Utilities, data, monitor, print monitor. There's a new option here to be able to look at directories. So this monitor is basically just running, it's looking at that folder, you saw that, and it's running a MarkMagic job whenever something pops up. So if I'll back up and I can show you that job, utilities, data, work with jobs. So there is a monitor ship label. That's what it was running. And there's just a graphic step. So that job gets ran. What it's doing, there's crop points in here even. So you can set up the MarkMagic job to say, only grab this square, this rectangle from these points, these crop points, and then bring it into the MarkMagic graphics gallery. You can even take the name of the PDF. So that's actually very important. The name of this PDF is the tracking number. So that name of the PDF gets brought into MarkMagic as a description of the image. So all in all, that PDF being dropped in to that folder automatically got caught by MarkMagic and converted and then brought in to the graphics gallery, which is where I'm going now. Graphics open. And this graphic right here was created. This was not here before. I could have gone in and proved it to you that there was no graphic 6, but it's here now. And graphic 6 is now available to be printed and put on a form somewhere. So the idea is you would take all these PDFs, drop them in, you'd have a whole gallery worth of shipping labels, all with individual different descriptions, which are the tracking numbers, and then they can be used on your forms. So I can go into JMagic now and show you. So here's JMagic with the pack list open with a big blank area reserved at the bottom now for printing that image. And obviously you don't see it right now just as like a static image like you see the Cyber logo up here, but we've got a variable graphic down here. And that variable graphic is printing it's going to pull in the image basically by referencing the tracking number field that's part of this format. There's a tracking number data field, and that data field, if I can go look at the spool file and prove to you that that tracking number is not being provided in the spool file itself. But I'm not going to jump out there. There's a lot I can show you in the spool file that it's not there. But just to show a new SQL feature in version 10, MarkMagic version 10 is the ability to use SQL, write your own SQL statements, and use existing data on the spool file or wherever data is coming into MarkMagic from the physical file or spool file, and use it to go out to another external Oracle database. So I'm basically just grabbing tracking number info. Maybe I have an Oracle database that manages that, FedEx tracking numbers based on order number or something. So I've got a SQL statement here pulling in tracking information based on the order number. And that is how the tracking number gets to MarkMagic. And that tracking number is used by the variable graphic field to then pull the correct image from the gallery. There's a lot of stuff going on, but when it all works together, and it's beautiful. I mean, I could do a print preview right now in JMagic even from that spool file. So first page, nothing. Well, all the info for the first page, but no logo. And I go to the next one, and the graphics there. It got pulled in. That's the one that just got created and converted. So very cool stuff.
So yeah, there's a lot just happened. I told everyone we were going to get into the details, and we're going to go low level into the weeds, and that just happened. That's like amazing. So some of the features you use, customers don't necessarily need to use it. So you use the SQL feature to go out and grab the tracking number using the order number. That's because the graphic that was brought in was the tracking number, and you didn't have that data in your normal print data. So it was a way of grabbing it dynamically, which is awesome. If customers happen to have that data already in their normal pack list data, it could be the order number. Like you can name it, that label, that image, the order number, or anything that you want. If that data is already in there, you don't need to do an SQL lookup. So there's all kinds of ways to handle and do what Ken was showing. We wanted to jazz it up a little bit and add some other features in there, just show the flexibility. Again, zero programming. There's no programming involved here.
Oh, yeah, and I don't know if you also noticed when I did the preview, just a little extra spice. I mean, this is an add-on option that we've had for a while. We love showing it off though, because it's just, so cool. Sometimes you don't notice it, sometimes you do, and you go, whoa, what's going on down there? You do a the print preview, go to the next page, and this box showed up, this text showed up, these lines came out of nowhere, and that's just our print transformer conditional printing engine. So these fields, you design them there, and then you can set up conditions. I'm not going to get into the whole structure of it all, but just to show that there's ways to create conditional printing to say, hey, turn off this bottom section when the total order is blank. Since there's no total, it's blank, you don't need all this stuff down here. So you can turn off fields, move things around, extend the lines down, move boxes around, et cetera, based on data. So when there is a total balance, these things pop into place. And that's how that happened on that print preview there. And even on the PDF, in the final PDF, you saw those things pop into place there. So that's just conditional printing.
That's great. So just back it up just for a second before you go to the next piece. So if just to level set folks, going back to the beginning of what Ken was showing, he showed you a PDF, in this case happened to be a PDF from FedEx. It was a 4-page PDF that you guys may be getting thousands of those a day. And then all he did was save it to a directory, and we automatically took out just the shipping label part from the first page. That was all part of that command he showed. You set it once and then forget it. It didn't even bother with the other pages. Now, if you want to grab images from the other pages or other information, you can do that too with that same tool, with that same feature. So no programming. He's just saving these PDFs from UPS, FedEx, DHL, whatever, and we're dynamically grabbing just that label portion. Again, we're only talking about the label portion. It could be anything. It could be a variable graphic for some other parts that you're creating or items and products. And it's automatically sitting there. So then at print time, it marries it up and prints it out. You can do thousands of these a day. So it's pretty neat. All right, continue on.
So,
all right.
And then to actually execute this stuff, also no programming involved. We're going to use the MarkMagic print monitor, the classic way that you're used to it, where you release the spool file into an out queue, and then it gets caught, and then it automatically runs a MarkMagic job. A lot of people use that for printing, replacing their pre-printed stock, and maybe they had the tear-off sides, and they've always been creating spool files for years and years. Now they just want MarkMagic to step in and catch that spool file that they've normally been creating. Now we can take that, and instead of also printing, we can say, hey, if a certain field contains some special information, you send it as an email instead. So I've got print transformer, again, using a rule set this time. I've designed a rule set called email, and it's basically just looking at, there's a field on this format called customer's email. And we can drill down into that and say, does it contain an @ symbol? So the times when there's no email address in there, the job will just print to the laser printer like normal. When there is an @ symbol in there, which means probably an email address got pulled in, then we can dynamically change the print step to say, turn on PDF, make this a PDF. I'll explain this part in a little bit, where to save it, because when we create these PDFs, they get created on the IFS in their own folders somewhere. Email it to that email address that was in customer email from the format, from the fields here. And then you can even specify subject and messages in here and have information there pop up when they get their mail. So this PDF path here, just to describe how that was created, it's just a Starlink text field on the canvas here, except it doesn't print. It's set to white. It's tiny. Obviously, you don't need it taking up too much space on the format, but it's used in the rule as a way for the rule to be able to build out a folder path where you want these PDFs to be saved. So I basically just built out a data field string /documents /pack lists, the variable information, the customer number, underscore, the variable information invoice number, .pdf. So think of that whole long string, what that would look like if this variable info got filled in. Basically, we're creating a PDF that's customer number, underscore, invoice number, .pdf, and it's going in /documents/pack lists on the IFS. So the rule set is using that to create the PDF out on the IFS. And then we've got just a simple print monitor, utilities data monitor, looking at an out queue, PRT01. It's looking for that spool file that you've been generating all these years, and it catches it. The rule set is part of this print job now. The rule set gets processed. And what happens is, when you release those spool files in the queue now, 6 release, it gets caught right away now. It doesn't go out and release and print somewhere. It gets put back on hold. And then out here in the pack lists directory, there's your file. So it just got created, and you end up with, there you go. So
There you go.
there's
Exactly.
the PDF that got created. And that would have gotten emailed too. I don't have my email open. That would have gotten sent out as an email, or whoever's email address was in there. And one neat thing too, that email address was also SQL, utilities SQL, customer email. I can go out to the spool file and prove to you that the email address isn't in the data, isn't in the spool file. I just have to take my word for it, but there is the customer ID number that's in the spool file. So we're just taking the customer ID number and going out to the customer info Oracle database table, and then pulling in the email address from there based on that. So we bring in the email from an outside source, and
Just because you can, just because you want to show off, you're just jazzing this.
yeah, that info that comes in from the Oracle database was actually used in the rule set processing. So very cool.
It was combining a lot of features there. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
I love it too. So, Phil, I think we just went 2 minutes over. I'm not sure if there's any questions that we could answer real quick, or if you prefer we take those offline.
Yeah, I see we have a handful, but yeah, like I said, we'll keep it to a tight 20 minutes. So if you guys are all set, this has been very informative, I'd say. And if people have any follow-up questions, of course, you can reach out to us at info@cyber.com or sales@cyber.com. Or if you have any technical questions, you can reach Ken and the rest of the support team at help@cyber.com. So I think that's about it for the webinar. Anything else from you guys?
I'm good.
No, thank you very much, Ken, and thank you for all the folks. We got more people than I expected. Man, we got a lot of people that attended. I appreciate everyone taking the time to check this out. And there was a lot to digest. So, and we just picked this use case. I encourage you to use your imagination, because there's lots of different ways to use these features and functions. Somewhat unrelated to the way we just showed it, using other images, and you can combine them not from just one thing, 2 or 3 different things, and bring them together, again, without any development effort. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions. So thank you again, and thanks, Phil, for putting this on. Appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, goodbye, everyone.